Hi, in this video we will study horizontal jaw relation. Now jaw relation is a complex phenomenon where you are going to record the plane of the maxilla and the mandible with respect to the cranial base with respect to each other. So when it is recorded in the horizontal plane, which is the antero-posterior direction, we have two types of jaw relations, that is centric jaw relation, which is in the posterior most position, and you have the eccentric jaw relation. Eccentric jaw relation is anything other than the centric jaw relation in the horizontal plane. So we are going to study about centric jaw relation and eccentric jaw relation. Coming to centric jaw relation first, centric jaw relation is not as complicated as it seems. So as a student you will always fear this huge definition of centric jaw relation, but let's simplify the whole definition. So here we have selected two specific definitions. The first one is from the glossary of prosthodontic terms 7 and 8, and the second one is from the current GPT, that is glossary of prosthodontic terms 9. There have been a few modifications in the definition and we are going to just run through each of these changes. So according to GPT 7 and 8, centric relation is defined as the most retruded relation of the mandible to the maxilla when the condyles are in the most posterior unstrained position in the glenoid fossa. Okay, now that is a lot. So let's break this down. So what are they trying to say? The most retruded means the posterior most. Retruded meaning as posterior as possible. Relation of the mandible to the maxilla. So we have the mandible here and the maxilla here. So the relationship of the mandible with respect to maxilla in the most retruded position, as posterior as it can go. When the condyles are in the most posterior unstrained position in the glenoid fossa. Now if you look at the diagram, this is the glenoid fossa and the condyle is in as posterior position as possible, as back as possible, from which lateral movement can be made at any given degree of jaw separation. So according to this definition, what they are saying is that when the condyle is in its the most posterior position in the glenoid fossa, you can do any degree of lateral movement at any degree of jaw separation. So when the jaws are about to separate, you can do lateral movement from that position. Now this was an older definition. The definition has been modified by glossary of prosthodontic terms 9 as a maxillomandibular relationship. That is the definition says the relationship between the maxilla and the mandible independent of tooth contact, which is very important. Okay, this is a bone to bone relationship. This is the relationship of the mandible to the maxilla irrespective of the tooth contact. It is not dependent on the tooth contact, in which the condyles articulate in the antero-superior position. Now this has changed here. Here we had the posterior unstrained position. In the lower one, in the lower definition, we have anterior superior position. So what does it mean? If you look at the diagram here, the condyle is going superiorly and anteriorly and superiorly. This is anterior and this is superior. So antero-superiorly, because the anatomy of the glenoid fossa is such that it is going to sit and lock itself in that kind of anatomy. So the condyles are articulating in the anterior superior position against the posterior slope of the articular eminence. Now what does that mean? So if you see the diagram again, this is the articular eminence. So this part of the condyle is going to sit in the posterior part of the articular eminence. The condyle is going anterior superiorly and the condyle itself is articulating with the posterior slope of the articular eminence, and in this position the mandible is restricted to purely rotary movement. So in this position the mandible is going to only rotate along its axis. Now mandible has two types of movements. One is rotary and one is translatory. That is, it moves forwards also and it just rotates on its own axis. But the rotary movement is only restricted to a certain limit. So in centric relation there is only rotation happening along the hinge axis. Hinge axis is nothing but center of rotation here to center of rotation here. If you join an axis from the center of rotation of one condyle to that on the other side, that axis is called the hinge axis. So pure rotation occurs along this axis. From this unstrained physiologic maxillomandibular relationship, the patient can make vertical, lateral and protrusive movements. So again a few very important words. Unstrained, that means it is unstrained, meaning the patient does not have to make an effort to come to this position. Physiologic, meaning it is functionally acceptable, physiologic, naturally occurring phenomenon. Maxillomandibular relationship that can make at the relation at which the patient can make vertical, lateral and protrusive movements. So this is excursive movements, eccentric. So from this point the patient can do all the eccentric movements. It is a clinically useful, repeatable reference position. So clinically useful, why? Because whenever we have to rehabilitate something, since this is the most repeatable or reproducible position, we will want to do changes along this point. We do not want to alter the whole physiologic function of the mandible when we are rehabilitating the dentition. So because this is a very stable bone to bone relationship, we are going to use this as a clinical step in clinical procedures. So it is clinically useful, repeatable reference position according to the glossary of prosthodontic terms 9. So let's just run through the entire definition once, because it is very important. All these terms that come in the definition can be asked independently in your questions as a part of your MCQ questions. So we will focus mainly on this, the modified version. It is a maxillomandibular relationship independent of tooth contact, in which the condyles articulate in the anterior superior position against the posterior slopes of the articular eminence. In this position, the mandible is restricted to a purely rotary movement. From this unstrained physiologic maxillomandibular relationship, the patient can make vertical, lateral or protrusive movements. It is a clinically useful, repeatable reference position. So that is centric relation. So now that we've studied the definition of centric relationship, let's see what is the significance of centric relation. It is a bone-to-bone relation and it is constant. Okay, so it is a bone to fossa, bone to bone, maxilla and mandibular relationship with respect to each other only in the bony part. It is independent of tooth contact. It is repeated, reproducible and recordable, and thus serves as a reliable guide for developing centric occlusion in complete dentures. Because it is very repeatable, it is a very clinically important relationship. So that is why it is used in developing centric occlusion in complete denture. Along this bone-to-bone relationship, we are going to establish our centric occlusion in complete dentures. Then next is, it is related to the terminal hinge axis. Like I explained earlier, terminal hinge axis is nothing but the axis passing through the center of rotation from one condyle to the other. So it is the rotary movement that occurs along this terminal hinge axis. It is related to the terminal hinge axis. In centric relation, condyles exhibit pure rotation without any translation. There is no forward movement occurring. There is only rotation occurring along this axis. Then we have the functional movements like chewing and swallowing, which can be carried out since it is the most unstrained position. This position is unstrained. There is no pressure or strain from the other adjacent tissues, ligaments, bones. So it is unstrained position, and chewing and swallowing can be carried out with the help of this position. The final act of masticating stroke ends in centric relation. So after your every swallowing, after your masticatory cycle ends, where does it end? It ends in centric relation. It is more definite than vertical relation since it is independent of tooth contact. Vertical relation is dependent on tooth contact and musculature, whereas centric relation is only bone dependent. That is why it is more stable, and that is why it is more definite than vertical relation. So these are the significant points for centric relation. So far we have seen that centric relation is the posterior most position. It goes in the anterior superior part of the fossa. The condyles articulate basically in that anterior superior position. So why is it most retruded position of the mandibular condyles? So there are these four theories which explain. So there is a muscle theory, a ligament theory, osteofiber theory and meniscus theory. The composition of temporomandibular joint is based on muscles, ligaments, bone and the articular disc. So based on the impact of each on the movement, they have described these different theories as to how the mandible stops in that retruded position. So the first theory is the muscle theory, which says that because of the defense reflex, because of the inherent natural reflex of the lateral pterygoid muscle, that is external pterygoid muscle, which contracts and it stops the jaw in that position. So the muscle theory says that lateral pterygoid muscle is important, or external pterygoid muscle is responsible for this reflex. Then the second theory is the ligament theory, Now we've seen the muscle theory where lateral pterygoid is responsible. In the ligament theory, obviously ligaments are responsible for this retruded position of mandible. So this is the element that is important for articulation. The lateral radiograph shows a suspended or floating type of a condyle. In the lateral radiographs, it was seen that the condyle is actually suspended or floating. Now this kind of an arrangement is not suited for halting the retrusive movement of the condyle. Now what does this mean? That the ligaments are the ones that are causing the binding, that are responsible. The ligaments are the one that are keeping the condyle in its retruded position. But when they checked on the radiographs, it was seen that the condyle is in a suspended position, and this theory was not accepted. That is why this is not a very acceptable theory. The next theory is osteofiber theory given by Mayer. Mayer said that fibers or the osteofibers, the fibers arising from the bone, from the condyle, are responsible for the retruded position. So these fibers act as a fibrous top or a buffer and do not allow the mandible to go further backwards. Retroarticular cushion. So behind the articular disc, the retrodiscal tissue acts as a cushion which acts as a stop. So it is a retrusive terminal stop for the condyle. So this is an accepted theory of the centric relation. The last theory is meniscus theory or the articular disc related theory. The posterior superior surface infolds along the roof of the glenoid fossa. So the articular disc comes in a biconcave way. So the posterior superior surface, this is the posterior superior surface which stops in the glenoid fossa. The articular disc is responsible for stopping the mandible in that position. Disc with their retromeniscal fibrous tissues stop the retrusive condylar movement. So because the disc has this meniscal fibrous tissue, retromeniscal, behind the disc there is retromeniscal fibrous tissue which acts as a stop for the condyle. So these are the four theories which are important for understanding the position of centric relation and understanding why the condyles are in the retruded position in centric relation. So centric relation is not only a clinically very important topic, but also theoretically you need to remember very few key points that are going to help you score very good marks in your exams. The definition of centric relation itself is so informative that a lot of things can be asked from there. So a few important things that you need to always remember regarding centric relation is that it is the most retruded relation of the mandible to maxilla. The condyles are in posterior unstrained position and anterior superior position. Both are correct according to two different definitions. So condyles are as posterior as possible in an unstrained position, and they articulate in the anterior superior position against the posterior slopes of articular eminence. So don't get confused between the terminologies. Then pure rotary movement occurs along the hinge axis for centric relation. It is unstrained physiologic position of the mandible. It is clinically useful, repeatable reference position. It is a bone-to-bone relation and remains constant. It is related to the terminal hinge axis. The final act of masticatory stroke ends in centric relation, and the centric relation is independent of tooth contact. So these are a few important points regarding centric relation that you must remember. So I hope centric relation is crisp, clear in your head. Thank you for watching this video.